Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 89, and that's a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. And this week I have 28 books. I think this is the most books I've pretty much ever had. So it's a huge week, a lot of great books out this week. It's very, very hard to determine top 5 this week. But a lot of great stuff I want to highlight, and of course there's still some bottom stuff there too. Also just want to give you guys a little disclaimer, I won't have Comic Uno episode next week. I won't have any comic reviews next week, but I will have written reviews on Twitter and Facebook. So mini reviews if you want to check out my opinions on the comics next week. So I want to give you that little disclaimer. But let's get started. Let's get started. So number 28, the worst pick of the week. No surprise here. Even after 28 books, this is somehow still worst pick of the week. And that is Earth 2 World's End, issue 23. Another wonderfully boring Earth 2 issue. This issue, it's a world ending and that's it. It's the same thing over and over again. Honestly, I get tired even talking about this series because there's just not a lot of progression here. The art's pretty lazy. It's just taking one little step each time. It's like, oh, well, Green Lantern is the full avatar now. That's one step. Okay. Earth is ending. One step. It's like small steps you're getting in these issues, and honestly, they're not interesting anymore. You read this weekly, and it's just getting really boring. And again, it just feels like lazy art and kind of lazy storytelling at the same time. So Earth 2 World's End for me, has to get 1.5 stars. I'm still not impressed with this series, and the only reason I'm reading it is to kind of stick with it. I've been reading it for so long, there's what, like 4 issues left? I'm not going to stop here. I tortured myself enough to just finish it. So Earth 2 World's End, issue 23, is number 28, and that got 1.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number, I just want to make sure what grade I gave it. Okay. Number 27, which is Justice League United, issue 10. And this wasn't a bad book, but this is a book just wasn't my taste. Like I've been saying previously in all the other Comic Uno episodes for Justice League United, I just don't really like the Legion of the Superheroes that much. And I did finish off the arc, though, because when I realized I did not like this arc, it was already a little bit too late. So I had to finish it up. This was, I think this is the last issue of Justice League United, or at least, obviously, the last issue for now until the end of Convergence. But yeah, so I wanted to finish it up, but I just don't care about the Legion of Superheroes. And so when it did end and the Legion of Superheroes went their own way, I was like, okay, cool. And then you have these last couple of pages with the actual Justice League United. I'm like, that's what I wanted the whole time. I want to see these characters. And the Legion of Superheroes just took over this book for 6 months. And I didn't get to see the characters I came here for while I'm picking up the series. And I think this arc was way too long for what it was. And I missed the interaction that we got here in the last 2 pages. I missed that, and we just did not get enough here. So Justice League United for me got 2 stars. The artwork was good, but I was just tired of the Legion story arc. Alright, moving on to number 26, which is Southern Cross, issue 1, which I actually got printed because I thought I would really like this book. I liked the cover a lot, thought it had really good artwork, but the story was just okay. It was very mediocre. Artwork was pretty good, but I don't know if it was really my style of artwork. It felt a bit cramped at times, but it's about this girl. It's very much a space story. It's the future of Earth where you could go into shuttles and go to different planets. And this girl's trying to find out why her sister died. And you're seeing some elements of why she died. You're meeting interesting characters. But overall, I don't think the mystery intrigued me enough, especially with 28 issues. You know, you have to really pull with these type of indie books. And for me, I just don't see myself really enjoying the story. It's just not my style of story. I think it could be interesting to find out, you know, who killed the sister, but at this point, I wasn't totally attached. And again, the artwork wasn't really my style. So overall, Southern Cross was not a bad book, but it just didn't really catch my eye. It did feel original, but not really anything that hooked me. So Southern Cross issue 1, for me, gets 2.5 stars, and I don't think I'll be picking up the next issue. Alright, moving on to number 25, I think. Yeah, 25. which was something that's usually like in my top 5, which ended up really low this week. Arrow Season 2.5, Issue 6. And the reason this ended up so low was because most of this issue was the Suicide Squad. And I really do not like Arrow's version of the Suicide Squad, and I still don't really like them in this issue. It felt really boring. I don't care about these villains. They have not fleshed out these villains enough for me to care that Diggle's teaming up with them. If this was more about Lila, I'd be like, cool, because we need to learn more about Diggle's wife or, you know, fiance. I'd be totally cool with that. If this was more about Amanda, cool. But the Suicide Squad as a whole, either flesh out the villains itself or just kind of like not focus on them anymore, because I just don't think the Suicide Squad's interesting enough. I think one of Arrow's biggest problems is to flesh out villain of the week villains, and this whole entire Suicide Squad is made up of villain of the week villains. So even though I like Diggle as a character, I don't think he could really hold his own episode, and I don't think he was able to hold his own issue here either. The only thing I was intrigued by was the Nyssa and Black Canary small appearance here. But yeah, overall, the artwork was good. You know, that's something that kind of put it up above from the other titles that were a bit below. But overall, I gotta give Arrow Season 2.5, Issue 6, 2.5 stars. It wasn't a great issue this week. But I am looking forward to the next one. Again, I'm just not a big Suicide Squad fan. I don't think Arrow does Suicide Squad very well. Alright, moving on to number 24, which is Fantastic Four, issue 644. I know a lot of people actually are, actually on Frontline are really enjoying Fantastic Four, but I like this series, but I'm not feeling this arc, which is a shame, because this is the arc that says, bye guys, for a little while. I'm not a big Sleepwalker fan, and I feel like I want to see more of these 4 members, you know, our Fantastic Four, interacting with each other. And it's just a lot of action here, and a lot of times where they're not interacting with each other, or interacting with other people of the Marvel Universe. I think that's the biggest negative of this issue, was that it was too big. Too many characters are in this issue, and it's not enough of the Fantastic Four being the Fantastic Four, interacting with each other. And I didn't really get to see any moment where any character really shined in this issue, which is a shame, because again, this is the second to last issue of who knows how long we're going to get the Fantastic Four until. So I thought it was a bit of a disappointment. I do love the artwork though. Art was great here for this issue, but the story just kind of drags. And I hope for the last issue we get a good big bang out of Fantastic Four. I know it won't be forever, but who knows how long it will be until we get to see the full Fantastic Four. So I would like to see them actually as a team working together, because that's what the Fantastic Four is about. It's not like, oh, Sue Storm's here and Reed Richards is there, you know? I don't want to see that. I want to see them all together. So Fantastic Four issue 644 was a bit disappointing for me, and I hope the last issue kind of makes me more excited for the Fantastic Four, and makes me excited about the ending. So Fantastic Four issue 644 gets 2.5 stars. Alright, I think we're on number 23. Yes, we are on number 23, and that is Future's End, issue 45. A bit higher than usual, but not really grade-wise, just like kind of number-wise. But only because there are so many comics this week. And I felt like this issue had a bit more moments than the other issues before it that I just named. I still didn't like this issue that much, especially the end half where it's going into Brother Eye. Like, I really do not care about Brother Eye. They totally could have canceled that out and just led into the whole Convergence Dome thing, because the first half of the issue was really good. I actually even enjoyed the Frankenstein part of the story. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, and her, I can't think of her name right now. It starts with A. Well, my lady, that's her name right now. I can't think of her name right now. Starts with A, you know, this princess girl. Her saying goodbye to her friend, Frankenstein. And I really enjoyed that. And I have not enjoyed their story at all, but I thought it was a pretty heartfelt ending. And then we got into Superman trying to save the day with the other heroes, Firestorm. I'm like, cool, it's actually like getting good. And then you went into Brother Eye. I'm like, oh, well, you totally lost me with Voodoo and Brother Eye. So it started out kind of well, and then it's just like, really quickly down for this issue. So if this was only half the issue, sure, this was a good issue, but it wasn't, because it wasn't only half the issue. It was the whole issue. And even the first half, it wasn't like, oh my god, so good. It was just like, oh, it's okay. At least, it's readable. But yeah, second half wasn't really as readable. So Future's End, issue 45, I don't really recommend. I gave it 2.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 22. Yes, number 22, which is... One thing fell, thank you very much. We have Captain Marvel, issue 13. This is an okay issue. I felt that it was a bit of a filler. I understand what was happening. It was, Captain Marvel trying to save her friends. There were some funny moments of her interacting with her ship and, them making fun of the cat. But I don't think there was a lot of special things here. Again, especially because there was just so many books that came out this week and a lot of great books that came out this week. This just kind of fell to the bottom. It just felt kind of generic to me. Not a lot of things were happening, and it's more of a point A to point B issue. So, Captain Marvel issue 13 wasn't that impressing. Next issue, they're going into Black Vortex, so hopefully that'll be a bit better. So, I didn't really feel this issue this week, but the artwork was really good. I do enjoy the artwork for Captain Marvel overall. But yeah, Captain Marvel issue 13 for me gets 3 stars. Alright, moving on to number 21. Yeah, 21, which is The Amazing Spider-Man Special, issue 1, which I originally wasn't even going to read. I did read it, though, and I liked it. If this was another week, I think it would have been a bit higher, but it was fun. It was funny, but also these specials are pretty expensive, so that's why it goes down a bit. I don't think this issue really attached me and say, oh my god, I have to get Inhumans, I have to get this. If you're reading Inhumans, I think this is a great issue to pick up, because it's really funny, and this is written by one of the writers of The Daily Show, and he knows Spider-Man very well. There's some really great jokes, and he knows New York very well, so if you want a commentary on New York from a New Yorker, you really get that from this issue. But the story overall with the Inhumans was the part that I felt was a bit weaker. It didn't make me want to pick up this whole special 3 issues, but this was a lot better than those other specials. Like, I haven't read a lot of them. Most of the time I think they're a waste of time. But I feel like if you're reading Inhumans, you really like Spider-Man, you might want to actually read this issue. For me, read the next couple issues. For me, I'm not reading Inhumans, so this doesn't affect me as much, so that's why I won't get the next issue. But overall, I'm glad I read this issue. It was funny, had some fun moments with Spider-Man that I feel like we haven't seen in a while. So, Amazing Spider-Man Special Issue 1 gets 3 stars for me. Alright, moving on to number 20, which is Nova Annual Issue 1. Nova was a good issue. This is another point A to point B issue. I had fun what they did with Hulk. I thought was pretty interesting. We get to see that Hulk fixes Nova's helmet. But the reason it's a bit lower is, just like Amazing Spider-Man, the price tag. This is a $4.99 book, and I don't really think it's worth $4.99. You don't really need to read this issue. Just know that Nova's helmet was fixed. I like when he's interacting a bit more on Earth, but I am excited to see what they do with the whole Black Vortex crossover. I think that'll be interesting, because I like Black Vortex as of right now, even though it's been a couple of weeks since the latest issues come out for Black Vortex. But yeah, so this is a fun interaction between Hulk and Nova, which is great because Dugan is writing both series. I love that he's actually using all the characters he's writing in other series he's writing. So Hulk has Deadpool, and now Nova has Hulk. Hopefully Nova will be in Deadpool one day, who knows. But I like that he's able to cross over his characters and his storylines in his other books. I think that's a bit fun. And it's easy. It's even if you're not reading the other series, you understand it pretty well why they're being a special guest in these series. But yeah, overall, Nova, it was fun, but the price tag was a bit high, and it was pretty predictable. But, you know, it was an okay issue. So Nova Annual Issue 1 for me gets 3 stars. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 19, which is Amazing Spider-Man issue 16. A lot lower than what Amazing Spider-Man usually is. This issue was okay. You know, I'm personally not a big fan of the Parker Industries supporting cast. I do like Liz. I like her as this villain. But I understand why they did this issue. You have to have a breather from Spider-Verse. But I kind of wish it was another type of breather. I don't know, maybe using different supporting characters, maybe Mary Jane, that'd be kind of great. But I also understand that they have to develop this Parker Industries story, which is fine. It's not something I really enjoy reading about. I rather read about other supporting characters for Spider-Man. But overall it's okay. I liked Liz a lot in this issue. Like I said, as being a villain, I thought one of the bigger parts I enjoyed was the Black Cat story, surprisingly, because I haven't been enjoying Black Cat as a villain. But I like Black Cat and her just like getting down to business and her wanting to steal her objects again, you know, stealing her belongings. So Black Cat was actually really fun here, and it was only the last couple of pages, but it seems like she'll have a secondary story. But overall it was an okay issue. It was kind of on the generic side for Spider-Man, and I didn't love the story of the Parker Industries stuff, but it might have an interesting direction with the Liz Allen half of the story. So Amazing Spider-Man issue 16 gets 3 stars for me. I understand the breather, but it wasn't the greatest issue of Spider-Man. Alright, moving on to number 18, which is another Spider-Man book, Spider-Man 2009 issue 10, which I actually liked this issue a lot more than I did last issue. I liked Miss Strange. I don't know what to really call her. I'll just call her Strange. Madam Strange, I think it is. I like her as a supporting character, and the big cliffhanger of her kind of dying, but being someone else and being trapped into this other magic person's body. And I like that Spider-Man 2009 is out of 2009 already, and I think he went back to 2015. And this Hulk kind of tricking him in this issue, and also the art is great here. There's some really small moments of him not being able to walk, and then Madam Strange being able to help him again. I thought that was a cool moment. So little details here were fun. Not saying that I love Spider-Man 2009, because I'm still, you know, debating if I want to drop the book, because I don't love the character as much, especially now that he's in 2009 not really interacting in 616, but now he might again, or regular 616. But yeah, one thing I thought made this issue a bit better actually was the team up between Madam Strange and him. I think his book is a lot better when he's teaming up with somebody. I don't love his book when he's just Miguel and he's like, I'm Miguel, I'm running, let me just talk to myself. I think he's really great when he has another person to add to that dynamic, and we saw that with Lady Spider, and I think we really saw that with Madam Strange in this issue. So my thing is, if you want to make this title even better, kind of have a female sidekick for him. I think that's where Miguel shines the most, is when he has someone to talk to. So Spider-Man 2009 I thought was an improvement, but I'm still kind of debating if I want to pick up more Spider-Man 2009. I'm still in this limbo stage with the series. So I gave Spider-Man 2009 issue 10 3.5 stars. So now, next issue, we have number 17, which is Injustice Gods Among Us, Year 3, Issue 11. This had some really small moments I enjoyed. I do think it's a bit prolonged with, you know, this is issue 11 already, and I'm like, I kind of want this arc to end. And, you know, it reminds me of why I dropped Injustice in the first place. As much as I love the story and the character interaction, it's getting tiring between Batman and Superman. Like, okay, we get it. Like, alright, just fight each other. Someone win already. And I think it's getting to that point in Justice Gods Among Us. Maybe because Tom Taylor left the series, but I'm like, alright, like, I get it. Like, kind of end the series already. And then we have a year 4 again, so I'm like, where are you going to go with that? So I'm kind of, again, as I said with Spider-Man 2009, I'm in the limbo stage for Injustice now, because Taylor did leave. But there are some small moments I really enjoyed here. Nightwing's interaction with Batman, calling him Dad, was a really great moment, and Huntress's death was really cool, and how Batwoman interacted with that, and how Wonder Woman interacted with that. Oh my god, I killed somebody. Am I a villain? Nah, I'm not a villain, I don't care. You know, it's cool to see the morality challenge with Wonder Woman. So those small moments did make it for this, and also the artwork is really good for the series too, but again, it just feels a bit prolonged with the Superman-Batman thing. Do I want to read another year of this? I don't know. But we'll see with the next issue, see what direction the series goes in. But yeah, I gave Injustice Gods Among Us Year 3, Issue 11, for the small moments that I really did like, some good character moments, but story-wise, I gave 3.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number... Alright, now we're up to number 16, which is All New X-Men, issue 37, which I thought was a good issue. I liked it. Was it a needed issue? Not really. It's a bit of a filler. It's Jean Grey and Emma Frost, teaming up together to make Jean learn a bit more about her powers and maybe question Professor X if maybe that he was trying to deflate her powers a bit. But overall, I enjoyed this because Emma's treating Jean in a good way. She's not being really jealous of Jean, but she's trying to help Jean. And we see that Emma has her powers back, and I'm not even a big Emma Frost fan, but I did like the interaction between Emma and Jean. Again, do you need this issue? Probably not, but I had a fun time with it overall. I do think it's worth picking up. I like the art style. It's the same art style as Elektra, which I love the art for that series, and I think it fit pretty well here. And there's some really cool details here, some small moments like Jean against Blob. That was a fun moment. So overall, it's a good issue. I think it's worth picking up. There is a lot of issues this week, so you know, you would have to maybe debate about it, but I liked it. It's a bit of a filler, but if you like Jean and you want to see her develop even more with her powers, I think this is an issue you should read. And the artwork was really good. So 3.5 stars for me for All New X-Men issue 37. Moving on to number 15, which is Thor issue 6. I enjoyed this issue of Thor, but at the same time I was a bit disappointed because we kind of figured out that Jane probably is not the female Thor, and I was like, I want Jane to be the female Thor, so I was a bit upset about that. But at the same time, we might see that Ross Solomon might not be the female Thor, because they're mentioning her name already. So it makes me curious, who is the female Thor? But I really enjoyed the scene that Jane and Thor have together. Jane is dying, and, or, you know, has cancer. I won't say is dying, because she might survive it. But she has cancer, and she's very, positive about it. Thor isn't. And it's really cool to see Jane and Thor interact again. It's been a while, and I really like to see where Jane's character goes, and that's why I kind of wanted to see her be the female Thor, because I think she's a very strong character, and it would be nice to see her battle against cancer and, you know, this power as Thor. I think it would be an interesting story, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see who the female Thor is. But what I didn't like about this issue that much, I do think it's prolonging the mystery a bit too much, and as every issue goes on, I'm just like, you're just kind of juicing it, you know? You're milking the cow a bit here. I think they should reveal the female Thor soon. I do like that the mystery, you know, we're getting clues, but, I don't know, I think it's taking a bit too long to reveal. That's my opinion. But, Thor issue 6 for me gets 3.5 stars. Great artwork, too, for that series. Alright, moving on to number 14, which is Grimm Fairy Tales, issue 108. Pretty good issue. I liked it. I'm not a big Beowulf fan, but that's kind of where the cliffhanger goes here. But with this issue, we get to see that someone's trying to get the Phoenix and kill her. So trying to interact with the Phoenix again. And she has no memory, so she has to try to figure out who she is again. And it's also our nymph character whose mother passed away. Her realizing that she has to use her powers, and she's able to interact with her mother again in this issue, which I loved about this issue. That one scene with her and her mother, probably one of my favorite story arcs so far of Grimm Fairy Tales was that nymph story arc. So, you know, I don't know what to think about the Phoenix story, and again, the cliffhanger goes into this Beowulf story, but I did like the nymph arc a lot. The artwork for the series is beautiful. So overall, for Grimm Fairy Tales, it was a good issue. It progressed some stuff. It's not my favorite issue of Grimm Fairy Tales, but it's a good progression to where Grimm Fairy Tales is going to go next, and they had some good character moments overall. So I'm going to give Grimm Fairy Tales issue 108 3.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 13, which is Tales of Terror, issue 9. This is a fun issue. I've been really enjoying Tales of Terror overall. I'm not a big fan of anthology stories, especially for comics. I feel like, oh, if I'm going to read a comic, I want to see story arcs. I want to see characters develop. I don't want to see just one character. But I think for Tales of Terror it works because it's so haunting. And it's telling stories that we all know about. It's either The Hitchhiker or, you know, Bloody Mary, or, you know, someone killing you at a gas station. So it's telling you all these stories, and it's just very haunting, and the twists are great. So Tales of Terror feels like an exception to me, and the artwork was great for this issue. I wish I could show it. And this issue is pretty much about these two teens. They're running away from home, and they have this police officer kill them. So it was a fun issue. It wasn't the best Tales of Terror issue I've read. I do think there's been a bit better haunting issues, but it still had that haunting moment. It had good artwork. So overall, I gave Tales of Terror 3.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 12, which is Batman Eternal, issue 49. This is a very solid issue. I enjoyed Batman Eternal a lot. I think Batman Eternal, obviously Batman Eternal is the best weekly series, but it's also a series that I feel like has been pretty on the ball here. You know, there was a time where it was pretty low on the list, but most of the series, I do think the series should have been shorter, but most of the series has been pretty good. So that's good for Batman Eternal. With this issue, we get to see more of the Bat family and them working together, especially Penny too, just trying to get back online to defeat Hush, because Hush has been trying to get the Bat family to not talk to each other. And Alfred's able to save the day in a way and hurt Hush and get everyone's communication back and get the Bat family back together. So that's pretty much what this whole issue is about. And also spoiling the plans of Cluemaster. And Cluemaster's like, "You're my daughter. I love you. Let's work together." And she's like, "Nah, that's okay." And she just spoils his plans. But overall, I thought this was a very solid issue. I liked the artwork a lot. Thought it fit well. And I love the Bat family. That's what I love about Batman is the Bat family. So seeing them all interact together and just come together again is a lot of fun. Even though this is kind of a point A to point B issue, I did have a lot of fun with Batman Eternal, and I thought it was a very solid issue. And it's really leading up to our ending here now. So Batman Eternal issue 49 for me gets 4 stars. Moving on to number 11, which is Batman Detective Comics Endgame issue 1. Another really solid book, which is kind of similar to Batman Eternal, but it's way after Batman Eternal. And I did drop Detective Comics, but I liked the summary of the Endgame issue, so I was like, alright, let me pick this up. And I'm glad I did. It was a really fun issue where we get to see these kids dealing with Joker, dealing with Endgame, and we get to see them team up with the Bat family, and Stephanie especially. So one of the kids wants to save his mom, so they're going through Gotham, going against these obstacles to save his mom, and that's pretty much the issue. But it's just cool to see the Bat family interact with each other. Seeing spoiler part of the Bat family is great. Seeing them interact with these kids, giving them stun guns, or was it, I don't think it was stun guns, it was tranquilizers, tranquilizer gun. It was just fun, you know, seeing the Bat family interact with each other. We also see Batwoman and Tim, and interacting with these children, trying to save the day at the same time. And the artwork was great here. Really enjoyed the artwork. So, Batman Detective Comics Endgame was a really solid issue that I do recommend. I think it's a one-shot that's worth it. Alright, moving on to number... We're up to number... Oh, actually that was number 11, which I think I said that. Number 10 is Sinergy, issue 5. The last issue to Sinergy, which has been a really, really fun miniseries by Oming. I really enjoyed it overall. It's a fun, different type series where this girl's a monster hunter, and she becomes a monster hunter after she loses her virginity. And her father walks in as she loses her virginity, and he just wants her to be a monster hunter like him. And with this issue, it's the final battle between the monsters, and we get to see that her mom finds out about everything, and they're all like a happy family. And at the end of the issue, she finds out that she's pregnant with Leaf's child. And she's so nonchalant about it. She's like, yeah, you know, in the next 8 months, gonna be pregnant. And her parents like, what? And the father doesn't even really care that much. He's like, alright, but you're still a monster hunter, right? So it's a really interesting family dynamic. It's a cool character. Artwork fits really well with it. It's a quirky series, but I really enjoyed Synergy overall. I think my only disappointment with this issue and why it wasn't higher was, that I think it was very much a cliffhanger for a miniseries. Like, you don't know if you're going to get a volume 2 of a miniseries, so I think that was the biggest disappointment. I guess the biggest disappointment was that this is only a miniseries. I would love to see this as ongoing. What happens when she becomes pregnant? What happens as the mom finds out? You know, how does this affect her monster training? But overall, I had a lot of fun with this series. Totally recommend Sinergy if you haven't read it yet, and I hope we get to see a volume 2 or, you know, another series for Sinergy, because it's really fun. Fun book. So, issue 5 for me gets 4 stars. Moving on to number 9, which is a series I was a bit surprised was so high up. Postal, issue 2. This is an issue 1 was pretty good, and I was like, oh, I really like the artwork, but I don't know about issue 2. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it. And I read this issue, and the mystery keeps getting a bit more interesting, and the main character is very interesting because it's a village of villains, really, but it's never been a murder, and we find out that the person who's murdered is our main character's sister, who he's never known about. And our main character does have autism, so that makes the narrative even more interesting. And then the girl he likes is, you know, the good girl of the series and working with the FBI. And our main character finds out about this. So is that a good thing, a bad thing? Is she still a good girl or not? And the narration's really interesting. The narration in Maggie's head, who's the good girl, it was like, oh, my name's Maggie instead of this because I'm the good girl of the series. And then even our main character finding out that he had a sister, seeing that his mom is really weird and is a villain and still the mayor of this town. It's a really interesting series and a story I just haven't seen before. So for me, Postal issue 2 really got me, I don't want to say hooked on the series, but got me really interested, and I'll definitely be picking up Postal issue 3. So moving on to, that was number 9, so we're moving on to number, so I'll make sure, yeah, number 8. And this is a series I really enjoyed. Now we're getting into awesome issues. Like I said before, there were some really great issues, and if this was another week, a lot of these could have been number ones. A lot of these could have been pick of the weeks. So let's move on to number 8, which was a really great book, and this definitely could have been in top 5 if this was another week. And that was Howard the Duck, issue 1. I was really surprised with Howard the Duck. I've never read a Howard the Duck book. I wasn't really excited to read this book. I got it because, you know, it was issue 1. It looked kind of interesting. I know you guys would want me to review it, so I picked up the issue. And I had a lot of fun with this. Howard the Duck was so funny, but in a way that wasn't only a comedic book. It wasn't just like, oh, funny, okay, where's the series going? And there's a lot of Marvel books that are out there like that. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl and Rocket Raccoon are 2 examples of that. Howard the Duck actually has a direction, and the way it opens of him going, being in jail and meeting his Watson. And I love that they're mentioning Sherlock Holmes, because this is very much like a Sherlock Holmes book with a duck. But we get to see that he gets his own Watson, who's very similar to him, where she doesn't really have a lot of a past, and they become good friends, which is weird, because Howard Duck has no friends. And it's cool interacting with the Marvel Universe in kind of a Deadpool way, but not really. He interacts with the Marvel Universe, pokes fun at the Marvel Universe, but without breaking the fourth wall. And that's something that I had a lot of fun with Howard Duck. Him interacting with She-Hulk, Spider-Man, and next gonna be Rocket Raccoon. Just a lot of fun here, and I like the team up. I like that he went against Black Cat. A lot of fun moments with Howard the Duck, and I will definitely be picking up Howard the Duck issue 2. A lot of fun. I definitely recommend this book. Alright, now we're moving on to number 7, and that is Superior Iron Man issue 6. Again, in another week, this could have easily either been pick of the week or on top 5. And Superior Iron Man was just a lot of fun. And one thing I love about Tom Taylor is that he's so good at writing female characters. But really, he's just good at writing both genders. He's great at writing male characters. He's great at writing female characters. He is a character writer. And you see that shine a lot with Superior Iron Man here. And we get to see Pepper finally come into the series and trick Superior Iron Man. He thinks, oh, you know, I'm going with Pepper, okay, and he tricks her, flies with her boots. I need to show you the scene. This just made me, this was just so much fun. She flies with her heels. She has the jets in her heels like Iron Man. I thought that was great, and I can't wait until she's rescued again. And we know it's coming. Can't wait for that. But she tricks Iron Man because she wants Tony to get better. And she's head of, Resilient, which was all the way back in Invincible Iron Man that she was the head of this company and was thrown at her. It's like, I don't want to be a head of a company. He's like, you can take it. It was like Tony's, like, little gift to her. And now she's really taking control, and she's able to take over Tony's deal. And she owns 53% of this company, or of this company that Tony's trying to make a deal with. So I really enjoyed that. Pepper was great in this issue, and there's just some really small moments here I enjoyed. Like, Tony trying to make, Pepper meet, Teen Abomination. It's like, oh, that's your stepmom. He's like, really? And she's like, really? I'm his stepmom? And, when she ends up backstabbing Tony, not really, but backstabbing Tony. She's like, no offense to you, kid, Teen Abomination, but it was on him. So Pepper was great here. She made the issue for me. Artwork was beautiful, and there's just some really great small moments I enjoyed. And I think Superior Iron Man's back on track, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. So this was number 7 on the list, and now it's 4.5 stars. Moving on to number 6, which really, I want to say was the underdog of this week. This really surprised me. I did not expect this to be so high. And that was Silver Surfer, issue 10. I really enjoyed Silver Surfer this week, and I want to give this a shout out, definitely, because again, it's an issue I just did not expect to be so high up. And what I loved about this issue is that we get to see Norrin try to fight Galactus, and we see that the people are finally realizing that Norrin's not a bad person, and they want to give up their planet to give to Galactus to save Norrin. And Dawn says the words that everyone's been saying, and she says, spare my world and I'll be your herald. So she's going to become the next Silver Surfer, but Norrin's like, I love you. I can't do this. It's so much pain. I don't want this life for you. And she ends up feeling all this pain when Galactus is trying to convert her, and he doesn't allow it. So the people actually say, take our planet, we don't care, just save Dawn. And they are able to save the day, and Dawn is now going to be leaving Norrin after all this sadness that has happened to her. She's kind of changed as a person because of this. And what I really enjoyed about this issue was Dawn and Silver Surfer. That's what attracted me to the Silver Surfer book in general. I've never been a big Silver Surfer fan. I could never stick to a Silver Surfer book. But this has so much heart. The companionness, obviously it's very Doctor Who, but it's the companionness of this book. And the chemistry Dawn has with Silver Surfer, and them kind of giving the best out of each other, out of these adventures. And that moment where Norrin just sees Dawn becoming him, he's like, no, I can't let that happen. She's too innocent. And I love her. Those little words, it felt so powerful to me, and I love this issue. It was so good. And the artwork obviously was great too. And again, in another week, this easily could have been my top 5, but there were just so many other books too. But Silver Surfer really blew me away. And I gotta say, if it was MVP underdog this week, it was definitely Silver Surfer. So pick this up. It was a great issue, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. Alright, moving on to number 5, which is Ultimate Spider-Man, issue 11. This issue is another great issue. It's something that we've been waiting for with Ultimate Spider-Man, which is finally the interaction between Kate and Miles. And why Ultimate Spider-Man did get over Silver Surfer was because that interaction between Miles and Kate was so powerful, and how brainwashed Kate is. She's so brainwashed. She believes in Hydra, she believes in her family, but at the same time she loves Miles. And she wants Miles to join Hydra, even though Hydra's pretty much kidnapped his whole family. And also the cliffhanger with Dr. Doom kind of being behind all of this, and being behind the 2 spider people, and Jessica being kidnapped also was a great moment. And I guess it's still trying to figure out if Kate's going to be on Miles' side, or is she going to be on our family's side, because she seems, again, pretty brainwashed. But I had to read over the dialogue a couple times, because that's how much I enjoyed the interaction between Miles and Kate with this issue. Really enjoyed it. Dave Marquez's art is beautiful, especially with these facial expressions, and the fight between Jessica, great here. So overall, I had to give Miles Morales issue 11 4.5 stars. Really great issue, and again, another week, easily could have been pick of the week. Alright, moving on to number 4. which was Miss Marvel issue 13. This just got this series back on track again. You know, I've been loving Miss Marvel, so it's not that I haven't been, but I feel like this was the balance we all needed for the series. We get to see that Miss Marvel is training within humans, so she's trying to get used to her power, not used to her powers, but discovering more about her powers, more about her heritage, and you get to see her interacting with her family a little bit more, and she meets this guy who, you know, was a nose picker when he was 5, so she's not excited to meet this guy, but she realizes she has a lot in common with him, and he's pretty cute. So she wants to interact with him, you know, she really likes him. So they're going to, like, a DVD shop with her brother, because the brother has to be a chaperone. And there's some trouble. There's an Inhuman that goes against Miss Marvel. And so she has to become Miss Marvel. And the guy that she likes figures out she's Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is a bit obvious. But we find out that he's also an Inhuman. I was like, whoa, that was kind of an interesting twist. Not saying that I didn't see it coming, but it was an interesting twist, and it made the story even better, and it made this Kamala story really interesting, crossing Miss Marvel and Kamala's story. So I'm really interested in this story arc because I had a lot of fun with this issue. Again, good balance with Miss Marvel, good balance with her family, great artwork. Right here, just another example of a great artwork we're seeing here. Yeah, but overall, just really like this issue. It just went back to the roots of why I enjoyed Miss Marvel in the first place. So, really looking forward to seeing where it goes. I do think this boyfriend's probably going to be a villain, but, it's the journey of Miss Marvel learning from being innocent to, she's very innocent as a hero. Obviously, all the superheroes are trying to protect her, and her growing as a hero. And even the humans are trying to protect her, and there's like, oh, well, she's going to have to learn, you know, whatever. And I think she really, truly will learn as the series continues, but I hope she still kind of keeps that innocence as she becomes more of a hero. So Miss Marvel issue 13 for me gets 4.5 stars. And that was number 4. Moving on to number 3. Ant-Man issue 3. This was a great issue, and I love this issue because, first of all, Cassie and Scott, you know, having amazing moments of Cassie just being a horrible drummer. But also what I like about it, it brings back Cassie and Scott's past. You know, Scott became a hero to save his daughter, and now the people he stole from to save her is coming back, and coming back to the story, and maybe being revived. So Cassie actually gets kidnapped. And this is my hope that Nick Spencer is going to bring back her powers, because I think it'd be pretty stupid if they don't. Because if you get kidnapped, you would use your powers, right? Even if you died using your powers, yeah, I would use my powers. So I'm hoping, you know, I think the longer you take to make Cassie use her powers, the longer new readers are going to be confused if she has powers. Because Nick Spencer says she has powers, is not retconned. So I think this would be the better moment to use and try to explain the history of Stature a little bit. I understand Nick Spencer is hesitant about it, but it's been 4 issues. I think, or at least now it's going to be 4 issues. Next issue, this is the opportunity to kind of use this Stature and Ant-Man team up that I hope they do end up doing, and obviously will be a big fight between Peggy and Scott. But I think they've been very mysterious with the solicits, so I'm hoping that's the direction they're going with Cassie. But let me know in the comments if you think that too. But I love this issue. So good. I'm just so excited to see where Ant-Man goes. Very good issue. That's number 3. That got 4.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 2. And that is Spider-Gwen, issue 2. I thought this was a big improvement from the first issue, which I thought was great anyways, but this was even more of an improvement. What I really enjoyed about this issue is Spider-Gwen's conscious, really. That's what her subconscious. Her, you know, realizing that she has to balance her life as Gwen and Spider-Woman, but she really doesn't know how. She's still very dizzy from that fall she took from Vulture. So that's something we're getting to see throughout the whole issue. Spider-Ham was hilarious of being her angel and devil on her shoulder. And her interacting with the Mary Janes again. Even Mary Jane was great in this issue, first of all. Her thinking that this garbage sweater was very trendy for Gwen. And you see that she wants to be friends with Gwen, but at the same time she's Mary Jane, so she has to hold herself back. I can't wait until they deconstruct that character. Very excited for that. But it's really trying to balance this whole life between Gwen and Spider-Woman, and her going closer to her father. Her father trying to hide the fact to everybody that Gwen is Spider-Woman, and trying to make Spider-Woman's name a bit better, and then Gwen realizing, alright, I gotta talk to my father, it's been a bit too long. And that's the cliffhanger, is her talking to her father, which I've been waiting for since Edge of Spider-Verse, because that's gonna be a fun interaction. So overall, I think they fit a lot of story here. I think the narrative flowed a bit better with this issue, and it's just the fun stuff we're getting with Spider-Gwen. So Spider-Gwen issue 2 for me gets number 2, and that's 4.5 stars. Alright, so what made number 1? There's just so many great books this week, but what made number 1? That was Smallville Continuity issue 4. This blew my mind, honestly. It was such a good book. And this is an epilogue, and this is the last issue of Smallville. It's an epilogue to what we've seen for Smallville in season 11. And every character gets their ending. Tess becoming human, having a relationship with Emil. Lex wanting to become president. Batman teaming up with Dick Grayson, and Dick Grayson being Barbara's replacement, and Barbara flying up and being a Blue Lantern, and Batman giving Barbara a hug. We get to see Chloe and Oliver have their child and be part of Argus now, and train these outsiders. And Lois and Clark have their happily ever after. And Lois skydiving from the moon, or, you know, from space, I'll say. Or as close as you could get to space to skydive. And Clark finally calling himself Superman. It was so good, this issue. Again, the small moments that happen here, which with every character. But well, I would say the 3 things that really got to me. One was the hug Batman gave after Barbara left. Got to me. Loved it. Felt so organic. And then Dick Grayson coming in. So good. Obviously, him calling himself Superman. Wonderful. But what made me tear up, what made me choke up, was that point, that Jonathan Kent moment, where Chloe and Oliver tells the name of their child, saying it's Jonathan Kent. Their explanation of why they call him Jonathan Kent. And that one little tear going to Clark's eye. Perfect. Loved it. There's so many great little details in this issue that just blew my mind. And I think it was the perfect ending to Smallville. And I hope we get to see more of Smallville. I would like to see more. But and obviously more from Brian Q. Miller. But this was such a great issue. And it was number 1. It had to be number 1. So I gave Smallville Continuity issue 4 5 stars. Such a good issue. Pick it up if you haven't picked up Smallville. Just a very heartwarming issue. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, episode 89. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, in the description below, there's links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.